extended and named access list. Now, this extended access list ACLs allow you to permit or deny traffic from specific IP address to specific destination IP address. So, from specific source to specific destination, and also it can go for port. Now, port means protocol, and protocol means that services. So, if we say we say about port number 80, that means we are talking about web services. If we say port number 21, that means we are talking about telnet. Port number 25, we are talking about the mail, and so on. So it can do allow or permit. In this list, we can make a statement to allow or permit, deny or permit for the traffic of specific source and destination IP address, and also based on the port number. And this extended IP access list are almost identical to the standard access list in their use. So it is almost identical, but it gives us more feature. The key difference between the two types is the variety of fields in the packet that can be compressed, compared for matching by extended access list. Now, as with the standard list, extended access lists are enabled for packets entering or exiting an interface, same as the standard list. Then the list is searched sequentially. The first statement's match stops the search through the list and defines the action to be taken. So it will go by the statements one by one from top to bottom, and whenever it matches the statement, then it will apply and the search will stop, and it will not look for the other search, same as a standard list. Now all these features are true of standard access list as well. The matching logic, however, is different than that used with the standard access list, and makes extended access list much more complex. So it is little complex than the standard list because it matches source IP, destination IP, and also port number. So for that, it is little complex than standard list. In standard list, we only mention the source address, so it only matches the source address, and other things it does not match. Then extended control list, access control list, can filter the traffic based on many other factors like source and destination IP address, and protocols like IP, TCP, UDP, ICMP, and etc. These are like transmission protocol, TCP, UDP, and for the ping request and reply and other messages, we have ICMP. It uses ICMP instead of TCP and UDP. And IP. IP is like everything. We can say IP means all protocols. Then protocol information port numbers for TCP and UDP, or message type for ICMP. So all the protocol use the transmission. For transmission, they use TCP or UDP, and they use the port number of this TCP and UDP. So it can use that also for blocking a specific protocol, and also we can use to block the messages type for ICMP, that ping request, reply, destination host, unreachable, timeout. All these messages handled by this ICMP protocol. Now, extended access control list can be created by using the same access list command, and the syntax of this access list command for the extended access list is like this. This is like a syntax for it, and you can see it is very complex than normally the normal standard list. In standard list, what we do, we mention access list, command is the access list, then we mention allow or deny whatever. First access list, then name or number of these access list, then we mention allow, we want to permit or deny, and then simply we mention the source address, and if we want to mention the network, then we mention the wildcard. Other things we don't mention, but here we have the extra features, extra fields, extra commands we have to add. Like after the source address, you have to mention the source protocol information also, then destination address, then destination wildcard, then destination protocol, and even we can do log also. So these are the extra fields we have in this extended access list when we configure, and these are like first access list number, After the command we mention the number. So for extended access control list, access list number must be between 100 to 199 or from 2000 to 2699. This is the extended range. Then can we mention the permit or deny, whether permit or deny traffic. Permit, deny. So whether to permit or deny the traffic. Next we mention the IP protocol. Now IP protocol, that means to match the protocol can be IP, ICMP, TCP, GRE, UDP, IGRP, GE, EIGRP, IGMP, IPN, IIP, NOS and OSPF. These are different protocols we can mention, but mostly what we use here is the TCP, UDP, or we can use this ICMP for blocking or allowing, permitting or denying this traffic of ping request and reply messages. And we can use IP also. IP is basically means all, mentioning all. Then after that we have to mention the source address which we want to block, permit or deny, whatever. Then the wildcard mask for that source. So if you want to mention the single host, then you will mention the wildcard as a 0.0.0.0, or you can mention it like a host with the host keyword. So you can mention host and then IP, or you can mention IP with the wildcard mask is 0.0.0. Otherwise you can mention the whole network if you want, the whole network with the network wildcard. Now after mentioning the source address and the wildcard, the next option you will mention is the source protocol information. This is additional source protocol information like TCP or UDP port number. So you can mention the source port number regarding the protocol, but this one we don't need basically. Mostly we don't have to mention this source protocol. Remember, this is very rare we do this. Why? Because when you send the data, if you remember the OSI layer, when you send the data, so on the transport layer the port numbers will be added, source port and the destination port. Now remember, if you are suppose doing the communication for the web server, so the port number will be 80, the destination port will be 80, but the source number, the source port it actually uses randomly, and randomly it uses any port. So we cannot define any specific source port because it is random. It always changes, and it depends on your machine that which port it is choosing for the source. So source port mostly is the random port. Now when the reply comes back, in that reply the source port will be 80 for the web server. Now in that case, if you want, then you can mention the source port because you know what is the source port. But when you send any request, it always be random. So source port will always be random, but the destination port will always be fixed. So if you are requesting for web server, so your destination port always be 80 and your source port is random. Now if your reply comes for the request, then the destination port will be that random port which you have chosen for the reply request, and the source port will be the port of number 80. So when you create the access list and you want to define the source port, so it is difficult for you to choose because it is random, it is selected randomly. For example, what I want to say is that this is suppose the client and this is the server, web server, that means web server website is running on port number 80. So whatever the communication happens with client and the web server, it will go with the normal 80 port. Now what happens when your client sends the request to server? Now in this case, source IP will be the IP of this client, destination IP will be the IP of that server. Now on the source port, on the destination port, this is request for the web page, and this is the first packet which is going for the web server to get the request or they get the reply. Now in this case, the destination port will be the port number 80. So what our client machine do, it will set the destination port as port number 80, so that when it reaches to the web server understand that okay, this is for my web service, and this request is for my web service. Maybe this server has other services also. Maybe this server is running FTP service also. So FTP service, that means FTP will run on port number 21. So if it is FTP there, so the port number will be 21. So when the request comes for the 80, then the server will understand, okay, this is for web server, not for FTP server. So that is why the destination port number will always be 80. 80 in the request. Now the source port, this client machine will choose randomly. Randomly it can choose any port number. Let's say for example it chooses the port number 5000. So it is random. We don't know which port it will choose. Then when the server will send the reply to our client. Now in this reply it will send, now remember when the reply comes, so the source IP will be IP for the server and the destination IP will be the IP of the client. Now in this case the destination port number will be the port number which we have sent as a source. So this source port will become the destination port in the reply of the web server request, and the source port will be port number 80. Now by this way when the reply comes to our client, so our client will know by this source port that this is the reply of the request which I sent to this web server, because this client can send the request to multiple other servers also, and when the other servers give the reply, then this client has to differentiate that which reply is coming from which server, and for that it will use this port number. And also the IP will be there, but maybe it is using same server, it is doing two requests. One request is for web server, one request is for FTP server. So the same server and same client is having two requests and reply. So IP can be the same with the two replies. So if this client access the web server also, and in other side it is accessing FTP server also. Both the servers are same, so the IP will be same. So destination IP will be same in the both request, and in reply the source IP will always be same. So IP can be same because the client can send multiple requests. Now the port number will differentiate that this request is for port number 80 which I have sent that time, and this is what I got the reply. Now when we are creating the access list, so we will block the client to access the server. So maybe I want this client should not access the server. So what I will block the first connection. That is what the request. This is what the request is going. So in this case, if I want to block this request, that means I cannot decide the source port because it is chosen by random. So I cannot say that this source port will be this source port I want to block, because it can be anything. But suppose if I want to block this reply from the server, which is very rare we do this. So in this case I can be sure that the source port will be 80. But when we send the request, so we cannot be sure that which port is going to be used. But in the reply we can be sure that this port will be used. So when we create the access list, very rarely we mention the source port because it is no needed. But we want, then we can do that. But for that we have to understand properly that what I am doing. Because when you are mentioning the source port, that means you are trying to block the reply from that server or reply from that machine, because only in the reply the port number will match. Otherwise you cannot say which port is using in the source. So this is what source and destination port, and this is how the source and destination port is decided. So based on that, you can define which source you want to give, which source port you want to give. So very rarely we mention the source port here. So after this, so maybe we don't mention it, so I will not mention it. Then we will mention the destination IP address. That means the destination machine we want to block the communication or allow. Then with the destination IP address, we have to mention the wildcard. Wildcard, that means maybe I want to permit the whole network, or I want to block the deny the whole network. So whenever I give the network IP, I have to mention the wildcard. If I want to give the single IP, then I can give with the host keyword. I can use host, I can use the command host, and then I can use the IP of that host. So we can give wildcard, but in standard list it is optional, but here it is compulsory, you have to give. Whether you are mentioning the single host or you are mentioning the network, you have to mention the wildcard bit. Then you will mention the destination port. Now here always we mention the destination port for the destination protocol information. To mention the destination protocol information, that means suppose this is the client and I want to block that this client should not access this web server. So what I will block? The request. I will block the request from this client to this server, and this is the packet which is going from this source and this destination, and it will always be the destination port number will always be 80. So we always mention only destination port to make sure that what we are trying to block. So if I try to block the web server for this client, then I will mention the destination port as 80. If I want to block the FTP server for the client, then I will mention the destination port is 21. So whether I want to allow or deny, I have to mention the destination port for mentioning the protocol. Now if I don't want to mention the protocol, then what? It will only block the communication. It will block the all communication between this client and this server. So if I want to block any specific protocol like web server or FTP server, then I have to mention the destination port. Otherwise I can give without port also, and if I give without port, that means all the services will be blocked. Then after that we can mention the log also. We can mention the command log. This specifies the whether logging is required either to console or to a syslog. Now logging is required, that means we want to log the information of what, like whether it is blocking or allowing something. Now logging can be on console, directly you will see on your console, router console, or you can record those logs into syslog server. Now for logging you have to first configure the syslog server also, because when you configure the log on console, then it just come and go, so it is not useful. So if you want to make sure the record of all the allow or deny packets, then you should use the syslog server for it. And for that, first you configure the syslog server. It could be a Windows server or Linux server, and then you can use this syslog server to log all the information of your block, permit or deny packets. So once you have selecting the extended range number, you need to decide what type of extended access list entry you are going to make. And for this example, suppose I am going to make this 100. Now let's see how we can create this one by one, step by step. So here is this network. When we configure the standard list, and suppose we use the source and the destination is here. Now in the packet tracer, these client machine, these host PCs can only connect those machines as a ping. So we can check the communication only by doing ping. So when we use the standard list, so it actually blocks the every communication. Not only ping, it will not do anything. So I use the source this client and I use as a destination this. So it blocks not only this client, it actually blocks the whole network for this source. Now for checking the standard list, for configuring the standard list here and to verify it that it is working or not, we need different protocols here. So first we need different protocols like HTTP, FTP, Telnet, so that we can check that whether it is working or not. So what I'm going to do here, I will use a server machine here. So in this end devices we have a server here. So I'm going to use this server here as a source. So here I connect this. Now this server, I will give IP address to this server will be 70.3, and now this will be our source. This will be our destination. Now why I'm choosing this server here? Because in this server we have multiple services running, and we can configure that multiple services, and we can see that whether it is working or not after blocking. So those services are, when you click on the server, first I will go to desktop and I will assign the IP address first. 70.0.0.3, and the gateway is 70.0.0.100. Now here in this we have services tab. So when I go to services, we can see different services are available here, and we can choose to block these services from ACL. Now first, that services must be running. So let's say the first service is HTTP. So here the HTTP services are running. HTTP services are running. That means HTTP is running. HTTP is the normal web service, which is actually runs on port number 80. Then HTTPS is also, and you can see it is on here. That means HTTPS is the secure service, and secure service is it runs on port number 443. So it is also running. So we have the web services running here. That means this server can act as it actually working as a web server. Now we have other services also. We have DHCP, which is not running. We can configure it. We have DHCP for IPv6 also. We have TFTP service. Now this one is also running. We have DNS also. We have syslog. We have AAA services. We have network time services. We have email services, FTP services, IoT services are also available. VM management is there, and Radius server EP is also available. Now what I'm going to use here, I am having two clients here. So I'm going to use HTTP and FTP. So I will work with this HTTP and FTP. And what I will do, the FTP is also running, so I don't have to do anything here. Now as we see here, FTP is also running here. It is on, so we don't have to do anything. And the username is Cisco and the password is Cisco to access this FTP service. Then we have HTTP. So HTTP is also running, so we don't have to configure anything on the web, this server. So I will not do anything on server, and I'm going to use FTP and HTTP. Now here I have two machines here. Now what I will do here, I will use these two machines as a source, and let's say I will use one more machine here. And this machine, I will give 10.3 IP, and this machine I will not block anything. And on these two machines, what I will do, in this machine I will allow only FTP to work, and on this machine I will allow only HTTP to work. And these two machines will be our source. So let's connect this machine also. Okay, so I'm going to use these two machines as a source because I'm going to create a list for these two machines. I'm defining these two machines and I'm saying that this 10.1 cannot access FTP, anything else it can access, and 10.2 cannot access the HTTP service, anything else it can access, and this 10.3 I'm not using anything for it, so it can access all. Now first I will configure the IP address here. .3 and the gateway is 10.100. Now before creating the list, we will check that everything is working or not. So first let's check it. So I will go to first this machine and first I will check that is it a web server is working or not. So for checking the web server, I will go to this web browser here on desktop, and here I will give the URL of this site. Now we don't have a site here, we don't have a DNS here, so I will mention the IP directly of the server. So 70.0.0.3 and I say go. Now the page which we are seeing here is actually coming from this server, and we have other pages also. What is in this image? Okay, we have this image there, we have image page, logo, we have copyright, we have all pages. So we have this page. Now this page is coming from this web server. If you want to see here, you can open the server here and you can see these are the files. This is the index.html file, the main file, okay, and it is editable, it is edit. So suppose I want to edit this file, or we can open the file also. Or we can add new file also. But I will not add any file here. So this is the main file, this is the image file, we have this image here, this is copyright HTML. So these are the pages we are seeing on that host. So on this host, what we are seeing here, it is coming from this server. Now to check the FTP server, I will go to the browser. I can do it on browser also, but let's do it here. I will use command FTP and then I will access the server IP. Now it is asking username. Username, we have seen it, it is configured as a Cisco, and the password is also Cisco, and I have logged in. So where I am logging in, I am actually logging in on this server. We can check the files there. These are the files available on FTP server, and we can verify here on this server. We can click on FTP and we can see these are the files. These are the files available on this server, and this is the username and password. So these two services are running, web service and FTP service. Both are running here on this browser. Quit. Exit from FTP service. So FTP service and web service both are running for this server, this machine 10.1. Now I will check here. First browser and website. Website is working, so it can access the website. And can it access the FTP server? It can also access the FTP server. So both is working for this 10.1 and 10.2 also. Now I will check here also. FTP. FTP is working, and web server. So web server is also working. Now as we have seen, all these services are working. Now let me do one more thing. I will try to block DNS also, and I will try to block DNS for this server, this 10.3 DNS. Now DNS do what? It resolve the IP address to name. Now if I want to block the DNS, so first DNS should work first. So for that I will configure the DNS here on the server first, so that it will work. Now DNS right now is not working, so I will enable the DNS first, and I will put some record for resolving. So the name for the record will be, I'm giving this server as a name. So server 1, and address will be 70.3. I'm adding this server's itself record for the server itself. So anyone who try to give this name server 1, so the record answer will be 70.0.03. Now let's check whether it is working or not. So I will go to the client again, and I will try to ping in the name server 1. Okay, before that our machine should know which machine is the DNS server. So DNS server IP must be given to all the machines. So DNS server IP is 70.0.0.3. This is the DNS server we have. So I will try now to ping, and you see I am getting the reply, and the name is resolved. Now you see when I ping server 1, so it is resolved the name by this IP and resolved by the DNS server, and then I am getting the reply from that server. So it is resolving the name from DNS server. And will it work here? So let's check here. First mention the DNS IP, and try to resolve it. Ping server 1. Now again it is working. You can see it is resolved. The IP is resolved here, and it is resolved by the DNS server. And now DNS is working for this machine also. Now I will check here. First I will assign the IP for the DNS server 70.0.0.3, and then I will try to resolve the name. So ping server 1, and again it is resolved, and we are getting the reply. So now we have three services running. Three services running on this server. We have FTP, HTTP and DNS. And now all these three machines will be our host. And what we want here, we want to block FTP for 10.1, HTTP for 10.2 and DNS for 10.3. So only these services should block to the client, these IPs, and other services will remain working. Like for this 10.1, FTP will block, but HTTP and DNS will work. For 10.2, HTTP will be blocked, but FTP and DNS will work. For 10.3, DNS will be blocked, but FTP and HTTP will work. So now we can create the access list, extended access list for this. Now remember the guideline. If we want to create the extended list, so we have to create near to the source router and apply nearest to the source port. So now in our case these three machines is our source, and this server is our destination. So where we will create the list? Near to source. So near to source, that means the near to source router is this router 1, and the port which is near to the source is this fast Ethernet port 0/0. Now for example, if I want to create a single list where I want to mention about these two networks, host of this network 10.0.0 network and hosts of 30.0.0 network. So in this case these two networks will become our host. Now to cover these two networks, the nearest router will be router 2, and the port which can cover these two networks, the nearest port will be this port, serial 0/1. Why? Because if I configure if I apply on this port, it can only apply to this network, and if I apply on this port, then it will only apply for this network. So if I want to cover these two networks together, then I will apply on this interface, so that these two networks can be covered. But right now my source is these three machines, so I don't want to create it here because my source is here, these three machines, and the nearest port and nearest router is router 1. So I'm going to create the list on router 1, and I'm going to apply it on the nearest port, which is this port, fast Ethernet 0/0 of router 1. So now let's see how we can configure it. So I will go to this router CLI. So first we'll go to the privilege mode. We can check whether we have any list or not. So we don't have any list. And do we have any applied list? So we can check by show run command, and on any interface of this router we don't have any list here. We don't have any list applied here, and there is no list configure also. So now what? I will configure the list. So I'll go to configure mode, and the command to configure the numbered list is access list command. Now here we can mention the number from 1 to 99 is for the standard list, and number from 100 to 199 is for the extended list. So when you give the number, the router will understand that which list you want to create. So I want to create the extended, so I will mention 100. Now as soon as I mention the number, when I give the question mark, it says here that whether you want to permit or deny, or you want to just remark the entry. Now remember the sequence of access list. Remember standard access list, whether you are creating extended list or standard access list, you have to make sure the sequence is correct. Sequence is correct, that means if you want to block the 10.1, 10.0.0.1, and if you want to allow the whole 10 network, then first you will block the 10.0.1 and then you will allow the whole network, because it goes by the sequence, start from top to bottom, and when the entry match, then what it will do, it will apply and it will not look for the other entry. So whether you deny in other entry, it will not deny, it will allow. So sequence is very important. So basically first I will apply all the deny entries, and then I will allow I will give all allow entries. So first I want to deny these three hosts, then I want to allow others. So first I will give the deny entries, and then I will give allow entries. So I will go to router 1 and access list 100, and I will start with deny. Remember, 1 per line, the command 1 per line. It says give commands 1 per line. So deny for one host, then go for deny other host, then go for deny other host. Okay, now when I give a question mark here, now it says that which protocol you want to use. Now in this case, we are wanted to block. First, I want to block FTP for 10.0.0.1. Now you have to think that FTP is using which transmission protocol. So FTP will work, it works on TCP. So which protocol I will mention here is TCP. Now in case if you want to block, deny or permit any protocol which works on UDP, for example DHCP or even a DNS also uses UDP. So you will use what? UDP here. So in all these protocols we use TCP and UDP. And also if you want to block some internet control messages, that is when we do ping, so we get the reply, we get the timeout, we get the destination host unreachable command messages. So all of these messages are managed by the transmit by the ICMP protocol, not TCP, not UDP, is uses ICMP. So if we want to make a rule or statement for the ping request reply or anything else, then we can use ICMP here. Now what these other protocols, these are the other protocol for the other things, like AHP is the authentication header protocol, EIGRP is Cisco EIGRP routing protocol, ESP is for the encapsulation security, we have OSPF also. Now why we have these other protocols? Because the router also do these communications. Router do the communication for EIGRP, router do the communication of OSPF also. So if any packets coming from the OSPF, EIGRP, so it should not be blocked or allow. We can do manage those request replies also. So for that we will use these things. But mostly what we use TCP, UDP, ICMP. Now in case if we want to tell the router, we want to apply the statement for every protocol, that means every protocol, the all protocols, then what we use? IP. And IP means basically any internet protocol. That means we don't have to mention a particular protocol, we can mention all. Now this time first I want to block FTP. So FTP uses transmission protocol TCP. So I will use TCP here. Now after mentioning the protocol, now we have to mention the source address. Now source address we can mention with two ways. Either we can mention the source address IP with wildcard, or we can use the single host as a with the host keyword. So we can use both, like for example this one I will use IP. So I want to do block 10.0.0.1. Now when you give IP and when you give question mark, it says give wildcard. And when you use the host keyword, then it will not ask for the wildcard. Okay, so because I am using the IP, I will give wildcard. Now because I am giving a single host, so the wildcard will be 0.0.0.0. That means I am saying the router to match or examine all the four parts, and all the four parts must be same as this one which I mentioned here. That means I am talking about the single IP. Now after this, when you give a question mark, now it is saying first destination address, you have to mention the destination address, or you can mention any address, that means from this source to any other, you can mention any other IP. Then you can mention this equal to, greater than, or less than, or not equal to, or range. Or you can mention the single host by using the host keyword. Now what is this equal to, greater than, less than, or not equal to, and the range? This is to mention the port number. Port number is the protocol, and this is what the source port number. So remember I told you that source port number is randomly chosen. So it is not, we cannot define any source port number normally, and normally we don't use source port number. Now if in case you want to use the source port number, then you can use with these keywords. These keywords are like equal to, that means if you want to mention only a single port, port number, then you can mention it with equal, this keyword equal to. Or if you want to mention the port numbers, a range of port numbers, like you can say greater than, like suppose I say greater than 20, that means from 0 to 19. Oh, not greater than, that means if I say 20, that means greater than, that means from 21 to 65,535. This is the port number we have. We have a port number from 1 to 65,535 port numbers. So if I say greater than, that means if I say greater than 20, that means I am saying after 20, 21, 22, 23 till 65,535 port number. I am talking about the all port numbers. And what I am talking about? I am talking about to deny, because the statements is for deny. Or you can use less than, that means if I say port number 20, less than 20, that means from 1 to 19, which is less than 20. So all will be deny, but not 20. Then you can say not equal to. Now if I say not equal to 20, that means leave 20 and block every other port from 1 to 19, and then 21 to 65,535. And also we can use a range of port numbers from suppose 20 to 25, 30 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, whatever. But basically we don't mention the source port number. So I will also not mention the port number, source port number, because when I want to block the FTP, so whenever the client sends the request, it will send on port number 21. So destination port number will always be 21, but the source port number is randomly chosen, so that I cannot define, because I don't know what number it will choose. So instead of mentioning the source port, I will mention the destination IP. I can mention the destination IP with the wildcard, or I can mention the single IP by using the host keyword, or I can mention any, that means any host, all. So I want to block from 10.1 to server 70.3. So I will mention the IP here, 70.3. Now because I am mentioning the IP, when I give question mark, I have to mention the wildcard also. So the wildcard for this is because this is also a single host, so it will be all 0. That means I am saying to examine or match all the 4 parts for the exact IP address. Now after all this, we have to mention the destination port number, and this is important, destination port number, because destination port number is, the port number will be FTP. For FTP it will be 21, and that we have to mention properly. Now here also, now we see we have this equal to, greater than, not equal to, less than, not equal to, and we have range also. We have other options like description. We can match the description value, we can match the procedures with the procedures value, or we can mention the established also for the established connections. But I want to block the FTP which uses the port number 21, and that is exact which I want to block or deny. So I will use equal to. So I will use equal to. And now when I give question mark, it says which protocol you want or which port number you want. So if I can see the protocol name here, then I can use the name also. Like FTP means port number 21. So I can type FTP, or even I can type port number 21. Both will work. I can type POP3, or I can type port number 110. I can type SMTP or port number 25. I can type Telnet or port number 23. I can type www for HTTP port number 80. And if you don't see the name here, then you can use the range of port from here, from 0 to 65,535. So this is the range of port we have. So we can give any number. If you not see the name, so you can give any number here. So for FTP, the port number will be 21. So I will use port number here, and done. So this is my one entry for one host 10.0.0.1 to the server 70.0.0.3 for blocking the port number 21, and that is FTP, which uses the transmission protocol TCP. Now I will make an entry for the second host. So access list, the number will be same, and then deny. Now I want to deny HTTP. Now again HTTP will use the TCP. It always use TCP for transmission. So I will use TCP. Now the host IP will be 2. Now remember, whenever you give the host IP, then you have to mention the wildcard. Now if I want to mention a single host, so without doing any confusion, we can use host keyword for mentioning the single host. So remember, whenever you want to mention a single host, just we can use the host keyword, and then you will use the host IP, and then you will not have to give the wildcard because you're mentioning the single host. Now you see it is directly saying mention the destination address or source port. So I don't have to give wildcard because I am talking about single host, and for that I use the host keyword. Now after the source we will mention the destination, and again I will use the host keyword for the destination server IP. And again I don't have to give wildcard. You can see it is saying, it is asking the port number now. So I will say equal to port number 8. That means for this host I want to block port number 80, that is HTTP web server. Done. Now for the third host 10.3, again I will create the list, number 100, deny. Now for the 10.3 I want to deny DNS request and reply. DNS request from the server, from the client to the server, and the server will reply with the DNS reply. Now this DNS request, these request goes with the UDP. They will not go with the TCP. It uses UDP and port number 53, so that the request and reply for the IP resolution will do very fast, and for that DNS uses UDP. So I will not use TCP here, I will use UDP here. Then the host 10.3 to the host 70.3, and the port number will be equal to, when I give question mark here, you can see the port number 53 here, and this is for DNS. And if you don't see any port number, then you can directly mention the port number. So you can mention the domain name domain, or you can mention the port number 53 for DNS. So I'm going to use the number 53. Now 3 statements are done for blocking, for denying those 3 users, those 3 clients, those 3 IPs. For 10.1 I denied FTP, for 10.2 I denied HTTP, and for 10.3 I denied DNS. Now I want that all the other machine can work, and all the other machines should use the other protocols, even those 3 clients also. Like 10.1 should access other services except FTP, 10.2 should access other services except HTTP, and 10.3 can use other services except DNS. So I just want to allow now, because if you don't give allow entry, any allow entry, then everyone will be denied, and everyone will be denied by the implicit deny all entry. That entry always be there like a standard list, and if you don't mention any permit, then the deny will be there and everything will be denied. So I'm going to allow now. Access list 100, and I'm going to permit. Now what I have to permit here, this is important also. Now see, if I use this protocol, now if I use TCP here for permitting, that means what? I'm permitting only TCP, not UDP. So UDP will block. So all the protocol services which is using UDP will not work. if I use UDP here, then UDP will be allowed, the TCP services will be blocked. So I will create two statements, one for TCP, one for UDP. Now what about these other services? These will not work, because remember, if there is no entry for the services, for no entry or no statements for anything, then everything, the other things will be blocked by the implicit deny. So if there is no statement, then it will be denied. So if I mention TCP, then others will not work. If I mention UDP, then others will not work. So I want to allow everything and all other services. So then what I will use here is IP. Now IP means I want to permit any protocol, whether it is this AH, EIGRP, OSPF, ICMP, TCP, UDP. So in single statement I am mentioning every internet protocol. And that means what? I don't have to mention a single port number like this, like which I have mentioned for these clients, like equal to 53, equal to 80. I don't have to mention it like this. So now when I give question mark here, it says mention the source address. Now what source address I will mention here? I want to allow the whole 10 network. So I will mention 10.0.0.0. So I block 3 IPs from 10 network, and rest of the network I want to allow. Now there is one more thing here. If you see where I am applying the list, I am applying the list on this interface. I am applying the list on this interface. Now what that means, in this interface nobody can get in. Only this network IPs can get in. So all the machines, whatever we have, only they will come from this network, 10 network. So instead of mentioning the network IP, what we can do, we can mention any also. So instead of mentioning this network IP here, we can mention any also. And when you mention any, you don't have to give the wildcard mask also. Now any means all the networks. Now that is not secure basically. We should not use this. We should use only what we want to allow, and we should not use what we want to not allow. For example, if I say any here, I know that other network will not come from here. If I allow any here on this interface, and if I say if only any network can allow to enter into this interface to router. So if I allow any, so from here, from this side, other networks will not come, only network 10 will come. But sometimes, suppose if some hacker or somebody try to impersonate with some other IP, that means it try to use some different source IP to go from here to try to trick something or something, try to hack something. So it will also pass from here. Our access list will not block it, because we have allowed it as any. So if we don't want to do that, then we should allow only the network which we know. So in this case we should allow only the network 10. We should not allow other networks. So mostly we should not give any. But for testing purpose, I can give any also. But both will work, whether I give the specific network IP or any. So both will work. So I will not give any. I will give the network IP. Now whenever you give the network IP, then you have to mention the wildcard. And the network IP wildcard for this network will be 0.255.255.255. That means I am saying only match this first part, and that must be 10, and don't care about the other 3 parts. So it will try to match only the first part, that is network 10. So only the network 10 will be allowed, and other networks will be denied. Now for the source we have this. Now for destination. Now for destination I should allow for everyone. Why? Because these network 10 machines can go anywhere, because as we see in the network, as we see here in the network, these machines will not only go for the 70s network, they can also go for this 30, they can also go for the 50, and if other networks are also there, so they can also go for the other networks also. So we should allow them to access other networks. Other networks, that means all the other networks. And for that, in destination part I will give any here, and here I can give any because I am saying this network can access any network outside. And now when I give question mark here, you see there is no port number it is mentioning here. It is not saying give port number here. Why it is not asking for the port number? Because we have mentioned IP, and IP means everything. So it is not asking for any port number. So that's it. And now this statement will allow all the other network 10 IPs to go, and I will say enter. And this is my list. We can check the list now first. Show IP access list, and now we can see the list is here, and it is saying that deny this host for FTP, deny this host for HTTP, and deny this host for DNS, then allow everyone. So the sequence is important. You see, first these things will be denied, and then rest of the other things will be permitted by this entry. Now the list is created, number 100, but it will not effect until we apply it. So where we are going to apply this? So we are going to apply it on this interface. So before until we apply, it will not work. If you see, it will still access the web server. It is still accessing the web server because the list is not applied. So I will go to the router and I will apply the list on this fast Ethernet 0/0 interface. So applying the list, extended list, is the same way we apply the standard list. First go to the interface, then give command IP access group. Then we will mention the number of the list, and that is 100. Now here we have to mention in or out. We want to mention, we want to apply the list for inbound traffic or outbound traffic. Now when we see the design, so these clients, if they try to go anywhere in the network, they will enter from this interface. They will enter the router from this interface. That means we want to apply the list for inbound traffic to the router. So on this interface, what we will configure is in. So here I will configure in and done. So as soon as you press enter, the list is applied, and we can see the list is applied, but still no packets are matched because we have not tried the communication. Now you see now how the list is behaving, and is it blocking the thing which as we required. So first I will check this 10.1. I have blocked FTP for this machine, but other services should work. So I will go here. First I will check the browser and I will check the website. It is working, so it can access the website and it is working. Now it can resolve the name, so I will try to resolve the name also. So we can use NSLOOKUP also for server 1, and it is resolving. As we can see, this is the server which is replying, and it is replying with the name and IP. So it is working. DNS server is also working. Now FTP. FTP should not work. So I will try to access the FTP here. And now you can see it is trying to connect, but it is not able to connect. And what it says here, error opening this, timeout, disconnecting from FTP server, and it is not able to connect. So why it is not connecting? Because our router is blocking it. It is allowing DNS, it is allowing web service, but it is not allowing DNS for the client. Now we'll check the other client. This client can access FTP DNS but cannot access HTTP. So I will try to access first DNS and DHCP. DNS and FTP. So NS lookup for server 1, and I am getting the reply from this server, and I am getting the name and IP. So DNS is working. Now let's check the FTP. So FTP and this server IP, and it is connected. It says welcome to FTP server. You will give username and password and you will log in. So FTP is also working. Now I will check web service. It will not work. So here I will go and type the IP of the server and try to connect. And it is not getting the page because access list is blocking it. And what it says here is request timeout. So our list is working properly. It is allowing FTP and DNS to this, but not HTTP. Now this machine should access everything but should not access DNS. So when it goes to the browser and try to access the site, so the site is working. Now it will try to access the DNS. DNS lookup for server 1, and it is not working. It is not getting a reply from server because DNS is blocked for this client. It will try, and then after time it will time out. And now it is time out. It says DNS request timeout. It knows the server because we have assigned the IP of the server, but when it try to connect the server, it gets the timeout, and it says timeout, and it is keep trying. So I will stop by Control C. Now FTP. So FTP is working. Now FTP is working. It says welcome to FTP server. It connected the FTP server, and you can give username and password to log in. So our access list is properly configured, and it is doing what? It is blocking FTP for this user, blocking HTTP for this user, and blocking DNS for this user, but other services are working for all these 3 users. So this is how we can do configure the extended list.